Hi everyone, we're doing a live video feed today with a reading from the Mythical Goddess Tarot. I hope everyone finds me here because I was having some issues with Facebook. Imagine that. We're going to get this all right. Yay, I see some of you joining. Yay. Well, good. I've tried to make it so you can see the spread of the tarot cards. I'm Katherine Skaggs. I'm the artist of the Mythical Goddess Tarot and the publisher. And I'm asking Sage and all our guides, helpers, goddesses to come in to guide us right now. There's an extreme amount of fear, and we've been isolated. And we need to know what's going on a soul level, what's going on a human level, and how can we best navigate this. So if I'm not looking at you, it's just where the camera feed is. But tune into your heart spaces. Hold your questions in mind right now. Hold them in your heart and know that as we do so, you will begin to sense your connection to the divine, to the goddesses. I ask that you all are held right now in great clarity and guidance. And if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to drop those in. Hi, everybody. I love you too. I'll try to catch the questions as they come through, but right now we're going to focus on what do we most need to know right now to elevate our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual beings upwards, to come into the light, to calm the fear, to clear it, and to evolve into wellness, into wholeness. I'm going to ask for real clear guidance here. Thank you all for your love and your blessings. I'm going to throw a 15-card spread. It's one that Sage Holloway was a master at. Thank you, Sage, for being here. Let's see if I can put this up here on my little place that's very small, I'm finding. Low sense of humor as we go along is very important. I know you may not want to laugh during these times, but lightness is important to lift up and above. All right, so the three cards in the center of the spread have to do with who we actually are during this period of time. Who are we in regards to healing this virus? Who are we in regards to meeting the challenges that we're facing as a culture, as a community, and as individuals? And actually, right at the top, we have the fire card expression. And she tells me that within each one of us, it's very important to remember that we are creative beings, that we are creating the art of our lives, that we're the directors, that we're the imaginers, that we're the ones with the passion and the fire to bring change through our very beings and through this landscape that we're in. As an artist, I know that at any time, if I do not like what is on the canvas of my life, let alone the canvas that I paint on, that I can paint it out, that I can change it. And this is what we're here to do, is to recognize that power within ourselves, to get into our creativity, and to dance that change into the world, to awaken through fire. Another piece that's here that doesn't surprise me is the compassion card. It's very, very important that we find compassion for ourselves right now, that we find compassion for our leaders and for those who are in great need. Compassion is our healer. This card is actually the lower arcana of the great goddess Kuan Yin, who is the mother of compassion, who's come to help us release our suffering. So now it's time for each of us to go into our heart spaces to find compassion. What is that vibration? What is that energy? And how can we direct that in every place we show up? How can we be kind and caring? How can we be patient and compassionate from a heart-centered place toward ourselves and toward everyone we meet? Send it to people you don't even like. That's the big one, right? How can you be compassionate for the suffering and for the choices some people are unconsciously and unknowingly engaging in? Your compassion will be the power that helps you shift from fear into love. The other card that is very much up, these water cards are about our emotional selves. And this card, the cleansing card, is about a deep emotional cleansing that we are engaging right now. You, me, everyone has an opportunity to face the fear, to face the outrage, to face the trauma, to face the separation. It's affected all of us emotionally. And it takes great courage to recognize and to admit that you're afraid and to then do something about it. Prayer, heart-centered practices, sitting in nature, all the things you can imagine, cleansing away like a nice hot bath or shower, to clean not only your physical self, but to offer up and to clean your emotional self. Let yourself cry. Let it cleanse the places that have been contracted and afraid. This is who we are as we enter into this opportunity for awakening and a healing. So the next three cards are all about what is the big picture here? What is it that we need to know? And how do we sit with this energy? So one of the cards in these three doesn't surprise me. We have the isolation card. And actually, this is one of the cards from the mental suit. This isolation card tells me that, yeah, we're feeling alone, we're feeling separate. But you know, this card is not a negative card unless you take a perspective that you're missing out on something, that you can't, and you feed fear mentally and through your belief system. So we want to flip that around as to this is a great time to be with yourself, to know yourself. One of the great sayings that I've grown up with and I've been embracing for quite a while now is know thyself and be true to thyself. How can you sit in the quiet and go deeper within to know truly who you are as soul, as spirit, and not just a physical body with a personality going out and about? What's it like to practice what is important to you, to play the piano, to write, to journal, to paint, to be creative? Things that are absolutely practices that require your own personal attention and not being part of the crowd. This is a very important time that we step back and take a place for ourselves to be quiet and inward and reflective. As you do so, what is it like for you to reflect on the possibility that this is offering to our culture, to our community, and to yourself, to move into greater awareness and awakening, to be more filled with light and possibility, to know that once you've reset, you can go out with greater kindness and heart. This is our opportunity, folks, to use our spaces alone for a full-on regeneration and reset. It's really important. It's not a negative thing unless you want to go down that path. Your focus is really important. The other piece that goes along with this is the Ace of Manifestation. This card is telling me that we have gifts from the angels to help us change our physical reality. This is about creating our dreams, as odd as that may look to the ordinary reality that we have in front of us. This is about taking that inner space, dreaming anew, and then being helped by the earth and by all the elemental beings and by all our angels. All the aces in the tarot deck are about invisible helpers. So we have all sorts of help to change our physical reality, that we are in a space to not only manifest what some next goal is, but to truly transform the way we show up in our lives, the way we bring in abundance, the way we share, and the way that we are all connected. So let this be a powerful time to focus on your heart and your heart's desires, and call in trust that we are making a shift. And right next to that, which is pretty amazing, is Lakshmi. Lakshmi is this amazing goddess, Hindu goddess of bringing heaven to earth. And I think this is going to be part of our theme tonight when I do a live painting for healing, is that now is the time for us to open to blessings from the higher dimensions, from our angels, from our source energy, that all that we ask is truly given. That is a truth that I follow and I work with all the time, that whatever you ask is given. So let's be hopeful. Let's be mindful. Be generous. Lakshmi tells me that we are all connected in this wheel of fortune of life and of soul. Take time to be generous, give where you can, have faith, be kind to your neighbors, be abundant in your thoughts, your blessings, and your emotions. If you don't have money to give a blessing to someone. Care about your fellow human being. Care about the whole. Let that be your foundation for what is transforming in yourself and in your life and in the lives of humanity. I think this is about awakening humanity into a really different place, moving beyond the conflicts that we have had, moving beyond the separation, the duality and the conflict that comes from you being over there and me being different. It really comes from us finding a greater place of love. I just threw a card on the floor. I'll get it in a minute. All right. So what are our challenges during that time? Well, we may understand that, yes, we're physically challenged by something we call a virus, an energy that seems unknown and invisible that can get us at any time. That challenges our egos and what I'm going to call is our instinctual centers, the part of us that can be very afraid of what might happen, that we're out of control. So we're going to address that as well as our human, our physical, and all the parts of our soul selves that are here. So one of the 3 cards in the challenges, we have another water card. So it tells me we're working on our emotional selves quite a bit. This is the child of seas, or the child of innocence. She tells me right now, as protected as we are in so many ways from our soul level out to our human existence, is that engaging our childlike nature of innocence to trust that we're protected is a huge challenge for ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So we need to notice when we've become hardened. We need to notice when we've become cynical. And we need to take places where we address that by calling to our inner child, when we call to our innocence and our preciousness, to meditate on that, to reflect on that, to watch children in the world who are in safe places and how they play and how their innocence takes them through without worry. This is a big deal right now, is to actively focus on calling on your innocence and help her to know she's safe. If you'll take a look at the image of this card, you will see that it's a child who's inside of a shell, inside of the oceans of life. And that's pretty much what's going on right now. We've got these tsunamis of emotional energy, tsunamis of mental and emotional fear that are arising as we walk through some challenges here on so many levels. So imagine yourself, a great meditation would to get this image in your mind, wrap yourself up in a nice cozy spot and meditate on safety and blessings, that you're in the womb of Mother Nature, that you're in the womb of the great divine, for you to have a full-on reset. The next thing that's really challenging for us right now is to be visionaries. We must engage the shift within our very beings to envision a new way of being. And when we're afraid, that can be a huge challenge. But this is the lesson. This area is not only challenges, but it's like this is your classroom of the soul right now. How can you start using your imagination for a new reality? And it goes right along with that childlike nature, to dream anew. How can you step up to a higher perspective to see that there's a plan and a purpose, and that you'll see this eagle woman who reflects that she's able to fly high above the human den to see more clearly, to bring in the perspective of Great Spirit. She has an egg in her hand. She understands and brings a new way of life. She has the seeds of that new way of life in her own hands as she moves to a higher vision. So part of this reading is that you get to receive this energy to be the visionary of your own life, to sit in your imaginary places and to call on this higher perspective to move you out of fear, to move you out of fright, so you can see that there's a great purpose that's allowing a transformation to take place, not only on your soul level, a growth point, but also on a level as human, to become more connected from a higher perspective. We're bringing new life, folks. All right, the other challenge, and can't you imagine, this great card is an emotional card of pleasure. Yes, I'm sure you might find it a little hard to drop into that great place of celebration and pleasure, but it is the new way to work with that, to invite that. How can you be pleased by what is good in your life? How can you be pleased by having some space in your life to watch a movie, to take a walk in nature, to be heart-centered? I want you to cultivate that, if you will, as part of your own journey to expand your heart space and to find pleasure, to shift your focus. Our focus has been ingrained through the news and the media, social media, into all the worry, all the numbers, all the fear. And this is inviting you to be at a higher place in your perspective, as well as in your heart, to find pleasure with so much love in your life, so much possibility. And let that expand from you, that it expands to the home next to you, and to the home next to you, and to the family, and to the people in your community. And imagine that pleasure and light of your heart expands further and further until the earth is blanketed in this vibration. It is so much more than a human emotion. It is a vibration. So bring that sunlight into your heart. I'm going to find my card. There it is. Oh. All right. This is about our action. And I just saw that card. It cracks me up. All right. I'm going to bring this card up first because it is pretty much a reflection of what is happening out in the vastness of our world we called humanity and earth. Incredible mental fear. If you'll take a look at this picture, of course, it's got this funny looking lady with darkness and storms all around her, but look at the bottom part of the painting. There's a heart that's been buried under the earth. And I think if you'll look at that, you'll see that when we get into fear, it's very, very difficult to ground into our heart spaces. And since this is in the action, this is about making a shift out of fear and moving into the heart. We must take actions to be giving of our heart spaces. When we shift our attention to what can I do that is loving? How do I embody a more compassionate way of being for my own self? How do I trust that my heart knows the way? What if love is the only answer, no matter the question or the challenge? Then you'll find that the fear begins to die. The egoic mind is up for reconsideration of how it functions and serves the soul. So when you are afraid and feel that instinctual energy come up and all the worry thoughts, it's very good to go sit on the earth and feel yourself ground down into Mother Earth and Pachamama, to feel her hold you. Literally, a great shamanic exercise is to go lay face down on the earth as if you're connecting your heart to her heart. She has the higher vibrations of love and high frequencies of healing that bring in the vibration that you need to start shape-shifting. You might even find yourself crying. Excellent. Let go of the contraction so the fear can die and you can move into that heart space where you know that you're supported and changed. So right now we must face the fear and then find all our practices, our support systems that help us to relieve it and to bring in love. Again, this is an emotional card. We've got mental and emotional cards throughout this entire reading, which I find is absolutely right on, that we must address these things and to make some shift. This is the Mother Perception card in the deck. And we've got to take a look at our situation with this virus and with the world and the way we're moving forward, and know that a great deal of our challenge has to do with perception. Imagine diving down to the bottom of the ocean and everything is murky. Everything is not clear. It's not crisp. We're about to have a dog bark here. So we need to know that these emotional energies that are arising from the lower base elements of fear are causing a distortion in our energy field and in our perception. We need to understand that as we can neutralize these high emotional states that pull us out of our center, that we can start seeing and experiencing everything more clearly. We can calm the storm. Everything I've seen on the news says we want to flatten the curve of this virus. Well, we need to build our physical immune systems, but we also need to build our emotional, our mental, and our spiritual immune systems, which means we don't react and flood ourselves with emotion every time something happens. That we need to find ways to correct and neutralize the patterns that are arising so that we can navigate the storms clearly and calmly and in our center. You know, in shamanism and all the great mystical teachings I've ever engaged in to come to know as truth is that all is well no matter the circumstance. Yes, we can judge it, we can think it's terrible, we can make all kinds of attitudes towards things, but on a soul level, you chose to be here and everything is divinely orchestrated. Everything is an opportunity for you to lift up, for you to move your perspective to light, to love, for you to ask for help, and for you to disengage the suffering that comes from judgment. Now, this card is so much more in the way that I'm talking about it right now than I normally do. Perception can be everything. So before you judge a situation and listen to the news and feel terribly afraid, sit with it and connect to your heart and ask for clarity of the heart and soul. And you will choose wisely. I swear you will. All right. These emotional cards go right along with the mother perception. We got two mother cards. Imagine that right here in the action. We need to mother ourselves into a new way of being. That means we need to care. We need to be clean with ourselves. A good mama is a fierce mama, besides a loving mama. She knows to be fierce in her focus, how to take care of her children. So we need to do the same for ourselves. And when it comes to this card, creativity, the mother of wind, she's about the mental activity that we have now. You'll notice that her eyes are closed, that she's completely open at the top. And so we are opening up to divine guidance and creativeness of spirit to come through us. Imagine you are the channel of answers, of solutions and possibility. What great scientist, might have been Einstein, I'm not sure, said we cannot solve a problem at the same place it was created. So this card is inspiring us to meditate, to go within, to get creative as to how to do things differently. You know, one of the other things I've been taught over the last number of years of how to stir the quantum field to manifest or create is through that curiosity of a child I was speaking of earlier. Wonderment, imagination, daydreaming. Daydream about how good this can get. Move your attention, be fierce with your focus as to how your life and the life around you can shift up. What is that like? Now, you don't have to linearly reason it through to figure it out. Just be curious and be open at the top, and the answers will drop into you. They will start showing up magically because you're stirring the quantum field. And as we all agree to do that together, we are exponentially causing a shift. So I invite you to join me into wonderment and childlike nature and imagination, to imagine how this makes our culture better, to imagine how this makes us stronger and more alive, to imagine how you are more loving and more awake and more joyful. I think there's a lot of imaginings we can be doing right now. Okay, the next three cards are about the outcome. I did not put a timeline on this, which you can do with any reading to get more clarity. But I feel like this is about now. This is about being present into this now moment because here we are. We want to see how we can change our futures by being present now. So lo and behold, we have Pele right at the center of the outcome. Massive change. In the old tarot deck, this is the Tower card. I remember when Sage used to do readings for me before we had manifested this deck, created it. I'd see it in my reading. I'm like, oh crap, I hate that card, because it meant complete change. And so in our reality, this virus is playing a role in our culture, in our human lives, for us to, number one, take responsibility for our lives, not just to roll along mindlessly. It also is telling us that all the structures that, as a spiritual person, I've heard for years will fall apart, they're decaying. All the things that we've relied on that we know kind of don't work, or maybe really don't work, our politics, our financial structure, jobs that we may not like, all sorts of things are up for reconsideration. This energy is here to make a massive transformation. So I'll tell you a little bit about Pele, the goddess, if you don't know. She is this amazing divine mama, known to be the goddess of volcanoes and lightning in Hawaii in their traditions. And there's been many stories over the years that you just don't take a piece of lava from Hawaii and take it home with you, or that bad things can happen. Because this is about respect. And this energy of Pele comes in that anytime we've disrespected the land, anytime we've disrespected ourselves, Pele arrives to clean it up. So we're under a massive cleaning. But the good news, with every volcano that takes out what was, brings new life. It brings a new island, new land. So there's a promise of new beginnings as we completely clear out the old patterns that do not work for us. Know that we are in complete shift. And it's a great time as you work with death of the old, death of what does not work, to let it compost, that you also are directly lined up with completely new beginnings. That's why it's really, really important to be in that place of imagination as to how good this can get. Worry is only the upside down version of that. So move to possibility and potentiation from the place of hope and love and curiosity. And Pele will be there to help you. The other cool piece is that this is bringing the absolute restoration of nurturing the earth and nurturing ourselves. As we go through this change, guess what? You're being forced to focus on your immune system. You're being forced to look at how you take care or don't take care of yourself. So the outcome is that there's a great possibility that as a species, we may learn a few things about actually taking care of ourselves, nurturing our relationships, nurturing the earth, nurturing a new beginning, nurturing our community. So this is the blessing to come from the transformation and the alchemy of what seems like really bad stuff. So water your plants, water your seeds, water your hopes and dreams, and you will have a springtime popping up through this transformation. Now, another wonderful card I like to see next to Pele is Amaterasu. She is a Shinto goddess of the light, of the sunshine, and she brings beauty wherever she goes. I have to tell her story because it's just so profound for her to show up in the outcome. You know, I can't tell her story without talking about Uzume, who's a lesser goddess, Shinto goddess of laughter and mirth. And one day, and this may be what's happening right now, is Amaterasu, who's this beautiful goddess of life, of the earth, of all her people, and of growth, got mad at her brother, the storm god. And so when she did that, she got so upset, she went into a cave and would not come out. Well, guess what? The world went dark. An eclipse happened. The sun went down. No life was happening. Kind of similar to what's happening right now, right? So Amaterasu was brooding in the cave, mad. So all the gods and goddesses got really afraid, and they were crying and wailing, just like many of humanity are right now, terribly afraid. So they built a campfire in the darkness, and they sat around, and they'd tried everything to bring her out. And so they cried and lamented, and they tore their hair out. It was pretty ugly. So Uzume, this lesser goddess of laughter and mirth, comes right in very boldly with this great big drum and sets it down by the campfire. Now she looked around at all the gods and goddesses and all their suffering, and she got up on top of her drum. And as she got up on top of her drum, she began to do this wild and lewd striptease. And pretty soon, all the gods and goddesses were laughing. They were laughing so hard at her antics, they began to cry. And so it went on and it got louder and louder. And pretty soon there were no worries and fears. They were completely in the moment, crying and laughing loudly at this silly clown mama who is there to return their distracted minds to a focus of the heart and lightness. So pretty soon, Amaterasu heard the outrageous uproar. And she couldn't stand it. You know, she had a case of FOMO. She was afraid of missing out there. So she rolled the stone away and she came back out. So with that story, I would offer you up. Now is the time to find the lightness in your heart, to find the clown medicine, to bring the light back out, to know that we are being given a sign and a directive that the light is returning both within you, within your mind and your heart, and within our culture, that this is a powerful, powerful time of change, a powerful time of death and rebirth, and that from that, we are coming into even a more beautiful time within ourselves and within humanity. We are the anchors, and we are the light beings that hold the space of change. So I'm hoping that this brought you inspiration, that it brought you what you need right now to receive healing and illumination. We'll have this up to continue to come back to if you'd like to go through this video. And I'll continue to post inspirations. Earlier today, I posted White Buffalo Calf Woman, though she's not misreading. I find she is profound to come into these times. So I'll share a little bit of her wisdom with you if you like. White Buffalo Calf Woman is this beautiful goddess who came to several native braves upon the plains once upon a time. And as she came across the plains, they just saw all this dust and they didn't know what was going on. Pretty soon as she got closer, one brave saw there was this beautiful woman coming out of the cloud of dust on the plains. He knew she was hot, so he thought he'd have his way with her. Well, the other brave knew she was sacred and divine. So he said, "Oh no, you can't do that. You've got to respect her. She's a divine goddess. She is here to help us." Well, White Buffalo Calf Woman was omniscient, so she knew the lusty thoughts of the young brave who was absolutely wanting to have his way with her. So she opened her cape and called him in. She called him into her cape and she enclosed him in it. And pretty soon the other braves saw him go from young guy to middle-aged to old man to dust. So he pulled his bow and arrow and he said, "Who are you?" And she said, "You know who I am. Put your bow and arrow down and go back to your tribe and prepare the way for me to come teach the people about living a sacred life." So she is all about returning and to the purity and the truth of who we are. And I find that she is here with us as well as all these other divine beings of light to help guide us. So take a time to smudge yourself, to clean yourself with smoke, prayerfully, knowing that this too shall pass as you clean away the fear, as you clean yourself energetically, clean your home, clean all the places you are with sage, sweetgrass, palo santo, sacred tobacco. And know that there's a ritual of the soul taking place right now to purify all the brokenheartedness, to purify the anger, to purify the fear, to purify the separation between me and you, between Democrat and Republican, between American and Mexican or whomever. This is a time to purify our hearts and to come home to ourselves. Also, I posted on my site to take a hot steam bath, to take a hot salt water bath. Go to Sweat Lodge if you have that capacity. also go into prayer. But go visit my page on Facebook and you'll see the post incomplete. However, I think this is fabulous for us to know that the light is coming out of the darkness, that we are in for big transformation, and that we are watched over and guided. Know that your guides, your angels, and your helpers are always with you. Pray fervently and reach out for help. So another couple of things on my site as I get ready to go. Next Wednesday is the 25th. I'm having a remote healing cycle with Zoom from my website. You can go sign up for as little as $1. If for any reason you cannot even sign up for $1, send me a note and I'll send you the link. I don't want anyone to be left out. I want you to know that you are loved and that you are prayed for and that your answers to your prayers are here now and that you can feel, sense, and experience that loving energy. So go check that out. Know that there's a place for you to be in community, even if it's virtually, and that you get to be blessed and cared for to support you along the way. And tonight at 5 o'clock Mountain Time, I will also be live online again. This time I will be channeling in a live painting to bring healing, to bring blessings, and to help to transform this energy with as much grace and compassion as possible. Namaste. Love to each and every one of you. Aho.